Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll look at Python's built-in data types for dealing with dates and times. The main modules used to handle dates and times are datetime, calendar, zone info, and time. To get today's date, you need to do Here you can see the variable date points to an instance of the date class from the datetime. This object was returned by the constructor method of the date class with the year, month, and day as the parameters to the method. You can get a string to represent the current date and time in the format stipulated in the C language by calling ctime on the today object. So here you can see the hours, minutes, and seconds are all set to 0. That's because we called the ctime method on today, which is a date object instead of time object. To obtain the current time as well, we need to call ctime on the time object. We'll go to that pretty soon in this video. Alternatively, to get the ISO format of the dates, just do and to get the weekday, we do. Note that the weekday return starts from 0, so the actual weekday is 1 greater than the returned value. To get the name of the weekday, you need to import the calendar class. Here we just import calendar as cal. So we can just use cal for convenience. And we use the subscription mechanism. So you can see it's Sunday. Similarly, you can just also query the day, month, and year of the dates by invoking this day, month, year, or you can obtain them all together in the tuple. And you can get a whole host of information about a particular date by doing So here, the time tuple method returns an instance of the struct time class. And similar to the ctime method above, you can see the tm hour, tm min, and tm sec members are all set to 0. The reason is the same. That is, the time tuple methods was called on the date objects. And the tm is this is set to -1 by default, which means unknown daylight saving status. So if the daylight saving is in effect, the TM is dist will be set to 1, otherwise 0. Now let's get a little more precise about time by fiddling with Python's time-related classes. To do that, we first import time. And to know what time it is now, we just do and you can get a very precise time string in a C style time representation. To check if daylight saving is in effect, in the area where the Python code is executed, we do time, day, oh, I just mistyped. Okay, you got one here, because here in Australia, daylight saving is in effect. To get detailed information about a certain time, we use the GMTime method from the time class. So to learn about the current UTC time, we do so you got a whole time struct. And you can also supply an argument to the GMTime method to convert a given number of seconds from the epoch to a struct time object in UTC, for example. So we just use 0 as the argument. So that means exactly the epoch. That would be in 1970 and January the 1st, okay, starting at 0 hour, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. With the weekday is 3, that is Thursday, and the day of the year is the 1st. And the daylight saving is not in effect. By the way, the epoch is a date. Epoch is the date and time from which a computer system measures system time. You can see that on the machine used to run this code. The epoch is January 1st, 1970, and this is the point in time used by both Unix and POSIX. UTC, or Coordinated Universal Time, is the primary time standard by which the world regulates clocks and time. To get the local time, we just call time local time. And you can get a time struct. For me, it's you see, like this. And the time method from the time class returns the number of seconds since the epoch as a float number. Let's do time. Okay, that's a pretty huge number. So at the beginning of the video, when I called cTime and time tuple on a date, such as today, the results returned from those two methods set the hours, minutes, and seconds all to 0. That doesn't seem very nice, right? So now to get a clearer picture of a certain time, we can use the methods from the datetime class, which in turn comes from the package that bears the same name. So first, we should do from datetime, import datetime. That sounds like a tongue twister. So to get the current local time, now we can do now, datetime, now. And now is like this. To obtain the UTC time, instead, we do okay. You can see these two are just different because in Melbourne, the time zone is 11 hours earlier than the UTC time zone. So the now and the UTC now methods both return an instance of the datetime class with the appropriate initializing values. You can get the current date by calling the date method on the datetime objects, like this. So you get the date without the hours or minutes or seconds. To query the day, month, and year of a certain date, you can do now day now month, year. And you can get the weekday by doing weekday. And you can compare 2 days like this. Will that work? Yes. It's not the same. Let's do calling the method instead. These two are the same. So we need to take care, and the date is a property, and the date here with a pair of parentheses is a method. So they are different. So to get the current local time, we just do time. Here, the time method of the datetime class returns a time object initialized with the values for the hours, minutes, seconds, and microseconds, respectively. You can access these values individually by calling the getter methods such as you can also call the ctime and ISO format methods to get the C style or ISO 8601 representations of a certain time. Take the current time, for example. Now, to do justice to the time tuple method, let's call this method on the time object this time. So unlike last time, we called the time tuple method on the date objects. This time, the time tuple method returns a full-blown instance of the struct time class with the tm hour, tm minutes, and tm sec members initialized to an appropriate value, respectively. For all the examples presented so far, we haven't considered the time zone factor yet. This can be proved by querying the tzinfo property of a datetime object like. So you can see nothing shows up because calling the tzinfo getter method of the null objects gets you a none return value, which is not shown here. So you may just try this. And you see it's non-typed. A datetime object without any time zone information is said to be a naive object. It's usually a bad practice to ignore time zone information in real-life production programming situations. So remember to initialize your date and datetime objects with values for the tzinfo properties. On the contrary, a datetime object that includes time zone information are called an aware object. Let's create two aware datetime objects with the datetime constructor method from the datetime class. To do that, we first do and from zone info, we import zone info. And let's create two dates. So these two datetime objects are aware objects because they include time zone information. By the way, I presented two ways of including time zone info in datetime objects. When creating date 1, I used the zone info objects from the zone info module introduced in Python 3.9. When creating date 2, I used the time delta object to represent a duration in time zone difference. So to get the duration between two datetime objects, we can simply do just use the later date to minus an earlier date. And let's see how many days are between them. Whoa, that's 3,887 days. And how about the seconds? The total seconds? Okay, another huge number. So can you tell the date of 300 days from today? We can do that with just a simple plus operation. Okay, that would be this date. So you see, since we just plus a time delta to a date, we just get back a date accordingly. What about what time was it 10 weeks ago? So let's do a minus this time. Weeks, 10. Okay. That's also in December, but that's last year. So here, by doing arithmetic with date time, you get a date time in return. Note that the time delta constructor can only just accept time duration units as large as weeks and as small as microseconds. Months and years are just out of the question. In most programming languages, it's very common to parse a time string to obtain a time object. So in Python, we do as fitted a time string. Okay, you got this datetime object. That's the result from passing this time string. And this is the time zone difference. And this time delta seconds just reflects this 11 hours. So the time string you feed to the from ISO formats method must conform to a recognized time format standard like the ISO 8601, or else a value error will spring up. Let's try this. Let's just delete the 0 before the 1 minute. Let's see what happens. You get a value error, invalid ISO format string. Alternatively, we can also use the from timestamp method with a timestamp argument to obtain a datetime object. Okay, so that makes things easier. Okay, that's a lot shared about the standard date, datetime, and time zone API in Python. There are lots of third-party libraries out there which provide many convenient and useful APIs to handle very complicated date and time operations. I will put the links to some of the popular libraries in the comment area. Okay, that's all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, please tap or click that like button. Welcome to subscribe to my channel for more interesting stuff in Python. See you next time.